what's up?
So first of all, how were you approached to direct the film?
I actually was brought in at the last minute, very soon before the film went into production for some reason. I don't know what happened before that, but I was called in at the very last minute to come in and get organized. So they've been in development for quite a while, but I don't know what happened. Because the film was based on a bunch of commercials I had done.
Yes, the Hair Jordan one.
Yeah, but that was the second one called Hero Space Jordan, which introduced the characters from outer space, and then Nothing But Net, the commercial with Larry Bird and Michael Jordan. So Larry Bird character came into the movie because of that commercial.
Okay.
All those commercials were number one in the so-called Super Bowl poll in the United States, so they were very popular. I think that was part of the impetus for trying to do a movie. I'm not sure whose idea the original idea of the movie was, but it came out of those commercials.
Okay, great. And what were your initial thoughts when the idea was brought to the table?
When I first heard they were developing a movie, I didn't think it was a good idea. I didn't know I didn't know what they could do into a movie. But then when I read the script, it was just sort of based on Michael's life, you know, him leaving basketball to play baseball, all that other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of based on the commercials we had done. So most of the ideas came out of these commercials.
And having came from the commercials, what was your approach to then directing it?
Well, I developed the techniques in the commercials. We developed the Bugs character, modernized the Bugs character in the commercials. One of the problems I had when I first came in was that the animators had not used those ideas in their original animation. So it was a little bit troublesome at first until we got the animation on track because they were too loyal to the original Bugs Bunny characters in the old cartoons of the 50s. And in the commercials, we had fought with Warner Brothers to bring Bugs back into the 21st century. And, well, actually, it's still the 20th century. So there was some trouble in the animation department when they came on board. But after a few days, we straightened that out and we got on track and modernized all the characters in the new storyboards.
What can you expand on that a bit? What do you mean by wanting to, when Warner Brothers not wanting them modernized? Was it just the sense of keeping them without contemporary references per se, or?
Let's get back to the original commercial. When I got the original commercial from Jim Riswold, who had written it for Nike and Wyden and Kennedy, I said, "Why are you coming to me? This is a done deal. It looks very ordinary. You know, it's a very flat thing. You don't need me to direct this." He says, "I need you to direct this because we're having trouble with Bugs' character. We want to modernize the character in the camera angles and stuff like that." But Warner Brothers and the animators are very traditional and loyal to each other. They didn't want to mess with the characters, and Warner Brothers didn't want to mess with the characters. So for about 3 or 4 months during the Nike commercial, a friend of mine called Jim Lima, who's a concept artist, we worked on Bugs' character with Warner Brothers, and then finally Warner Brothers relented and let us modernize Bugs' angles. If you would check the old cartoons, you'll see that Bugs was a completely different character visually than he was in those cartoons in the commercials.
Mm-hmm.
When they came on board for Space Jam, none of the animators had considered the commercials, and they were reluctant to mess with Bugs' character and the other characters in the animation because of these traditions. And it became a big fight. I think we had to fire 2 or 3 animators before we came up with the best animator to work on it. But then finally, after about 3 or 4 days, we got on track, and then we had a lot of fun redoing all the animation concepts that had been done for 2 years before that. We did about 2 years' work in a couple of weeks.
And I think one of the things people forget with Space Jam is Space Jam was one of the first really big animated movies to also use elements of CGI.
Exactly, and we used digital ink and paint. It was the first film to do digital ink and paint. The traditional way was to use physical paint and ink to do the characters, and we went digital. We actually pushed the boundaries of a lot of that stuff. Didn't create, but we just pushed the boundaries of what was capable at the time, and it's a shame that we didn't wait another year. If we waited 1 more year, all the technology would have been in place to do it better. There are a few things here and
Yeah, I mean, Toy Story was like one of the only ones.
They resented it because there are a lot of jokes in Space Jam against Disney. Like Moron Mountain is a goof on the Disney mountain, Magic Mountain, whatever they call it.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff like that. There are a lot of goofs on Disney.
Yeah, and even when they're in the house,
the film is full of cultural references that went over the heads of a lot of the critics at the time.
Absolutely, like the Mighty Ducks.
This just is another silly movie with an athlete, but there are a lot of cultural references in there that are pretty funny. And Warner Bros. Even made fun of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Daffy Duck kissing his own ass.
Yeah, or the one with what type of Mickey Mouse name is the Ducks?
Exactly. And all the stuff when the guy comes to get Michael Jordan out of his motel room, he goes over all the products that Michael was in.
Yeah,
stuff like that.
Definitely. Or Pulp Fiction.
It went right over the head of people.
Like I'm 20, so this is a movie I watched so many times growing up, and then in the past, say 2 years, I've watched maybe just as many times, and I started to notice so many different things that just didn't catch my attention when I was that age, whether it was those clever little cultural references or even innuendo. And I think there's like a lot of innuendo in Space Jam, considering it's a kids movie, wouldn't you say?
Well, one of the problems is you call it kids in the movie, it's not a kids movie.
Fair enough.
It's really, actually one of the executives at Warner Bros. Admitted they mismarketed the movie for kids when they could have skewed it a little more toward adults. Especially since Michael Jordan was such a good character. I remember I was doing a commercial with one of the younger actors, I forget his name, and I said, "Have you seen Space Jam?" He said, "No, I didn't see it because it's a kids movie." I said, "Well, you're missing something." It was right after the movie was released. But a lot of people missed that part of it. There's a lot of funny stuff in there, a lot of cultural references, especially references against the nonsense of sports and the money in sports and things like that.
I mean, I think one that stands out to me is when the Martians are getting their powers, and it's almost, I don't know if this is fair, it's almost like a masturbation joke when the woman next to them says, "Honey, this guy's doing something weird next to me in his jacket."
Well, it is sort of it's an off-color joke. There are a couple of those in there.
And then with the slime.
Maybe, I tried to get them to cut because it was obvious. I forget which one it was. I think one of the coaches swearing. What the hell's going on here? I wanted them to cut that, but they missed that. During the animation, the year after we finished post-production, or production, I wasn't as involved as I was during production. Once the animation is set, it's just routine. You go through that stuff. And there are a lot of corporate decisions made that I didn't agree with in the final edit of the movie, but that's past my control.
Yeah.
When we first did the movie, the producers were so frightened of the movie, they didn't show up on set for 2 or 3 days. Then Dee Allen, who was the head of post-production at Warner Bros. At the time, who was a very famous editor. She had cut Bonnie and Clyde, the Hustler, and Warren Beatty's film Reds. She was the head of post-production. She came on set. We were friends, and she came over and hugged me. And I said, and she was effusive because she had seen the first 2 or 3 days of Michael and realized what charisma he had, what potential he had. And then after that, the executives couldn't keep away from the set. They're always over there, actually getting in the way most of the time.
I think that's something like people don't really take into consideration. Also, is that Michael is shooting with no actual people.
No, that's not true.
Oh, no?
There are actual people there.
Okay, so what paint a picture for me. What did the set look like?
It was green screen, but see, I had all the actors in green uniforms.
Okay.
I had a character for each character. So he was always working with an actor. But we put them in green uniforms so he could interact with them, bounce off them when he played basketball, and talk to Bugs Bunny and stuff. But I had a character for each character. We had a guy playing Bugs, we had a girl playing Lola. We actually had a real girl kissing him when he kisses Bugs, stuff like that. So he was always playing against an actor. I realized that he wasn't going to be able to play against dots on the wall and stuff like that. So I cast a bunch of comedians. I think there were 5 or 6 of them for the Looney Tunes characters, and then we cast a bunch of big basketball players for the Monstars.
Okay, so
he was always acting against an actor. He was never acting by himself.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense now that you mentioned it. Do you have any particularly fond memories or favorite stories from the set?
The best stories were we had the basketball arena built for Michael, and I'd go up there after we're done shooting and full court basketball, Michael and all of us. And Michael came up to me one day and he says, "How come you're never on my team?" I says, "I'm never on your team because I like to see the ball every once in a while." But we had a great time up there. But on the set, it was just routine work. It was a lot of intensity because we had limited time with Michael.
Right.
He was only on set for, I think, 6 or 7 hours. 3 hours in the morning and 3 or 4 hours in the afternoon. We wanted him to be fresh when he came, so he'd come at 9 or something, do his makeup, and then we'd shoot until noon. He'd have 2 hours for his lunch and workout. And then it'd be done by 6, so he'd go back to the gym and play basketball. So we were very careful to use his time effectively. So there was a huge amount of pressure to make sure everything got done properly. And then there was a lot of pressure from the studio because they kept visiting the set with celebrities and stuff like that for Michael to sign autographs and pose for pictures and stuff, which was kind of irritating. But it was something we had to do. But we had to protect his time, so I kind of bit my tongue for the 6 or 8 weeks we were shooting in order not to cause any other problems because we had to be out of there. He had a firm date to be out of there for his practice for the upcoming season.
Mm-hmm.
But then they won a championship right after that, so I guess we did a good thing.
Absolutely. Was he generally easy to work with? I've heard a lot of mixed stories with Michael over the years.
Michael and I get along really well. We've done like 20 or 30 commercials together, plus the movie, stuff like that. He trusted me, and we've got along fine. Never had a problem, ever. If we had to change the line of dialogue, we would change it. We would rehearse the two of us offset. I'd play basketball with him to get him in tune for some of the action stuff, to get him sweaty and kind of stuff like that.
How many times have you actually got a shot against him in?
I made 1 3-pointer against him in a commercial. He claimed that I traveled, but I used what they call a drop step to get the shot off. But we're almost the same size, and we had a lot of fun. I've always had a lot of fun. I mean, he's a phenomenal athlete. I'm an amateur playing against him. But physically, I could bump up against him and irritate him and stuff like that to get him in the mood for the basketball stuff. I've had to do that quite a bit in a lot of the commercials we've done.
Mm-hmm.
And we did a lot when he did the action stuff in the movie. I'd get on set with him and just mess with him with the basketball.
Nice.
Actually, the basketball in the movie was one of my own basketballs. It's all worn. If you look at it, it's all worn out. I brought it from my studio just to use it so it looked realistic. But it was a lot of fun. We had worked together quite a bit before that. For 6 or 7 or 8 years, and we had done the animation stuff with Air Jordan, so he was used to the green screen, and I made it as easy as possible on him.
That's great.
We'd rehearse to make sure everything was ready for him when he got on set, so there was no waste of time, and we were clear about the script, so there were no issues with him whatsoever. He was fabulous.
So then the film comes out November 1996. What is your initial reaction to how people are receiving it?
I was kind of surprised that it was as big a hit as it was.
Mm-hmm.
Because remember Shaquille O'Neal had done a couple
Kazam.
before that. They were awful. I had no idea how popular the movie would be, and it became the #1 movie that weekend, so that was good.
Mm-hmm.
One of the reasons I wanted to do the movie, or did the movie, was I had 2 young daughters at the time. They were about 4 and 6. So I did it for them, and I brought them through the process. I would bring rough cuts home and show them on the screen how the movie progressed, with all the special effects before and after. And when they finally saw the movie finished, they said, "Papa, we kind of liked the movie with all the blue stuff in it. Then when it was finished, it was a bit rough." They kind of missed that part of it. It was kind of a shock to them to see it on the big screen, so fine and finished after looking at all the grainy videos before the film was finished.
I mean,
I'm more surprised at the longevity of the film, but that's basically because of Michael's charisma.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised that it's kind of a defined film of that era, which is a little bit frightening.
Absolutely, and I think
It's doing all the other movies. In the 70s was all the Vietnam movies. In the 90s, it's Michael Jordan and Bugs Bunny.
Mm-hmm.
So it's funny.
Yeah, especially if you look at like the cult culture. I think it's one of those great cult 90s films. It's one of those films that people, like I was saying, watched as a kid and then looked back at and had a totally different appreciation for it.
It's interesting you say that because as I said earlier, one of the executives from Warner Brothers said they had mismarketed the film as a children's film,
Mm-hmm.
and it was more than a children's film.
Yeah.
There are a lot of cultural, as we said, a lot of cultural references that transcend that, especially the idea of the owners of clubs and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of cynicism in the film, based on the original character that Jim Riswold created for the commercial. Jim was a terrific cultural phenomenon in his own right. I think Newsweek or one of those magazines named him one of the cultural icons of that year, and he did a polish on the script and added a lot of little cultural references here and there. I asked him a while ago what were his contributions to the film, and he said, I can't remember that. To see the film again, he didn't want to do that. It's kind of funny.
Did any of the critical reception initially bother you at all?
No, but I'm critic-proof. I know what the film is supposed to be, and I know if the film is good or not. Some of the critics are really stupid about it. One of the critic in the New York Times shouldn't have reviewed the film. She's like a foreign film critic, and she just dissed the film without really talking much about it.
Yeah.
I think Siskel and Ebert, the two famous Chicago critics, were the most accurate.
Yeah.
They defined what the film was supposed to be, who the audience was, and if the audience would be satisfied with it, which is what a critic is supposed to do.
Maybe it's just
You know,
that
every film isn't for everybody, and if you're in the audience for this film, you're going to like it.
maybe it's just that Chicago love they had.
Well, of course, they had to love it because it is Chicago. But basically, look, how can a critic like a movie with an athlete and an animated character? You know, it's impossible.
Well, I think also in that sense it was so ahead of its time in terms that nothing had quite been done like that before.
Or since.
Mm-hmm. How often do you go back and watch the film?
I haven't seen it for a while. I can't remember when the last time I saw it.
No?
No, I don't go back and watch. I don't go back.
Any particular reason for not going back to it, or?
I've seen it. You know, I've seen it. I worked on it. I know if I look at it, I'll see things that could have been done better.
Yeah.
For example, I wrote a number of. I wrote a bunch of stuff for the film. There was no arc in the film when I got the original script, so I put the scene in with the sports critic who's criticizing Michael's baseball, and his sons see it. And they're hurt by the fact that this guy's dissing their father.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end, when he comes back from the spaceship, we shot a scene where Michael hits a home run and rounds the bases a lot like Robert Redford character did in The Natural.
Mm.
And instead of the light coming from these broken lights, shattered lights coming down, I had the crowd taking pictures of him with those tiny mini cameras, so that you had these bursts of light behind him as he rounded the bases.
Mm.
And the reason he hit the home run was his son from the audience gave him a tip to change his stance at the plate. So there was a reason for him to come back from the aliens.
Mm-hmm.
But that was for some reason the studio cut that out of the film, or the producers cut that out of the film. I never got a straight answer why they did that. But by that time, everything was locked and loaded or whatever. I don't know why they didn't do that. So that part bothered me a little bit. I wish that was still in there. And a few little other minor glitches here and there that I thought could have been done better. But that's minor. The success of the film is frightening, actually.
Well, yeah, now that you mentioned that scene, it makes a lot of sense because there's sort of a build-up with, Michael doing bad in his baseball game and then his son being frustrated with his baseball game. And I guess that correlation and that unity over baseball would have made for such a nice scene at the end. That's too bad they didn't include it.
Yeah, it's a shame. Maybe some year or maybe in 10 more years they'll come out with a director's cut.
Mm-hmm. Well, that brings me to Space Jam 2. I know you've been a bit critical of it in the past.
I'm not critical. I just don't know how they can do it. There's nobody like Michael now. You know, the reason the movie was so successful was that Michael. As good as these new athletes are, they're not Michael. That's all.
You didn't think LeBron was good in Trainwreck, or he had enough charisma to hold a movie like that?
I've worked with LeBron a bunch of times. He's a fabulous athlete. He's very good on camera. He's actually better on camera than Michael.
Yeah, I'd say so.
But he's not Michael. You know, LeBron is LeBron. He's not Michael. Michael is the best, but LeBron's not the best.
What pointers would you give to Space Jam 2 in order to see it either somewhat work or have What pointers
I
would...
think they should leave the film alone. I don't think they should think about Space Jam 2.
You don't think there's anything they could do to make it work? Any plot lines,
I haven't given it any thought. I didn't think Space Jam was going to work. It's a miracle that it worked. I thought Space Jam was kind of a dumb idea when I heard they were working on it, and then eventually we worked hard on it and made it into something that people liked. Look, Space Jam came out of the success of these Nike commercials we did and the McDonald's commercial. They ran on the Super Bowl. Hundreds of millions of people saw these commercials and loved them. So there was an audience for these characters. It was like a focus group. Nike spent a huge amount of money testing this idea that Warner Brothers took advantage of. But I don't see what this idea for Space Jam 2 would be. LeBron is a terrific athlete, but would Michael ever play a small part in another movie? I don't think so. He's a star. LeBron played a supporting role in another movie. That's sort of forgettable, right?
I thought
I worked with Steph Curry last year when he was top of the world. And Steph Curry's a terrific little guy, but he's not Michael Jordan. And neither is LeBron, and I don't see any Michael Jordan on the horizon anytime soon.
Well, I think even Michael said he would have chosen like Blake Griffin to have the role from the Clippers.
I think he said that as a goof. I don't think he really meant that.
Well, Blake's a pretty funny guy.
Yeah, he beat the hell out of his best friend in a bar. How do you get past that?
Fair enough. So correct me if...
I don't think he's funny. He's kind of deadpan, and I've seen him in some commercials. He's okay. He's not Michael.
He did stand up. He came to a... Sorry, go ahead.
Michael's beyond popular, right?
Yeah.
Young man is a remarkable image. As good as LeBron is, Michael outsells him 3 or 4 to 1. So, I mean, I don't want to go too far with this thing, but I would never touch Space Jam 2 as a director. I would never begin to, even with the differences in technology and what we've learned, I would never begin to do a movie like that again. Sequels are horrible. Godfather 2 is not as good as Godfather 1. Right?
Yeah.
The first film is always the best one. The first Pirates movie is better than all the rest of them. Stuff like that. It's diminishing returns.
Yeah.
There's so many reasons not to do it. I don't know what they were thinking. If they were going to do it, they should have done it soon after they did Space Jam. But they did that other movie,
Looney Tunes Back in Action.
Back in Action or something, which didn't do well, did it?
No. Well, I think they stopped making Looney Tunes movie for a while after that just because of the diminishing results. They never pitched a Space Jam 2 to you or approached you for anything like that earlier on?
They did early. I went to a meeting away from the studio where it was a script conference with a bunch of people, a couple who had been involved with Space Jam, and they pitched an idea, and I thought it was silly.
Do you remember what it was at all, or?
It was kind of a space thing. It was really weird. Michael had a very small part in it, and Tiger Woods was involved in it as well.
Really?
But it never went anywhere. I told them I didn't like the idea. They were wasting their time, and it disappeared. Everybody was trying to take advantage of the situation, but the original thing. They should leave it alone.
Yeah, well, I guess you can argue that with it coming back in theaters and them doing a sequel now because I think there's such a drive for nostalgia nowadays.
Yeah, but the nostalgia is the nostalgia for the original, not for the new version of nostalgia.
Yeah, but I think that's like from a marketing standpoint, that's probably a lot of why they're trying to do a second.
Space Jam came as a big surprise to Warner Brothers. I don't think they ever imagined it would be as big a hit as it was. Right now, everybody's desperate for material. They're going through old stuff to come up with new stuff. They've pillaged Fargo with 2 or 3 different things on Netflix or wherever that ran.
Yeah.
Stuff like that, and it's just desperation. I'm not interested in desperation, and I don't think the audience is as well. I think we're going down the wrong road here talking about Space Jam 2.
Sure. Is correct me if I'm wrong. That was the final movie you directed?
Yeah, it's the last one I did. I haven't done one since.
Is there a particular reason for that, or?
Yeah, if I can be honest with you, the studios, it's not fun working with a studio. They're interfering. It's just a drag working on a studio movie, and it's a drag working when you don't have total control. I don't particularly feel like working on studio movies or working on something I don't have control over. I do very well doing commercials and short films and documentaries and stuff. So I'm a filmmaker. I'm not a factory worker, which is what happens when you work for a studio. Frankly, Space Jam would have been a better movie had I had total control over it. But because of studio interference at different places, like I told you, the scene with him hitting the home run and running around the bases.
Yeah.
Making that family happy. Fabulous ending. They cut it out of the movie. Why? I don't know. They had no answer. You know, we were dealing with 20 executives. I think we had 6 producers on the movie. I alienated all of them. You shouldn't get me started on this.
Fair enough.
Look, they worked on the movie for 2 years. When I got to start doing the movie was a mess. The script had to be rewritten and the animation had to be redone after they worked on it for 2 years.
Okay.
When you talk to Ivan Reitman, he might argue some of this. He's going to tell you he did everything, right? But when I went in there, we had to redo the animation and we had to rewrite the script. I wrote the opening of the movie. I wrote all the family stuff. I wrote the baseball stuff. I wrote the stuff of him at home plate when he's talking to the catcher. That was a story from Michael. Michael told me that when he was playing ball, they liked him so much because he used to autograph baseballs and stuff for them that the catcher would give him the signs so that he wouldn't strike out or it would look good.
Mm-hmm.
Even then he couldn't play well. So that came out of Michael's stuff. But they were clueless about the animation. They were clueless about everything. It was actually pathetic because the studio really didn't know what the hell they were doing. It was new territory, and territory that we had done in commercials years before that they ignored, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that was that. But we had to pull it together quickly in 6 weeks. We did 6 weeks. In 6 weeks, we did work that taken them years. But that's another story. I wouldn't bring that up with listen. I haven't rant about what he did. You know.
All right, Joe. Last question. What would you say the message of the movie is? What would you like people to take from it?
It's just an entertainment. It was just entertaining. That's all it was ever supposed to be. We tried to be as truthful as possible to Michael and his family values, stuff like that. I actually had suggested to Spike Lee. Spike Lee's a friend of mine, and we were talking one day, and he said, "Gee, I'd love to do a polish of the script," and I thought that he might be able to do a good thing there, but that didn't work out. And I thought that Spike would have brought a kind of a different kind of attitude towards the stuff.
Wow.
But basically, it was a truthful story about Michael and all that. We tried to keep it as truthful to his family values, where he lived, how he treated his family, what kind of person he was, and all that other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that was basically it. It's just pure entertainment, nothing more, nothing less, with a few cultural references thrown in there that went over most people's heads.
If you had one thing that you'd want people to take away, what would that be?
Just fun. Go and enjoy the movie. Period. Which doesn't happen anymore. You go to movies now and you're sitting through 2.5 hours of tedium. That movie was a lot of fun. You know, a great soundtrack.
Yeah.
Great soundtrack.
Was that something you were in, like? I meant to ask.
No, the soundtrack came after the film.
Okay, yeah, I was imagining that. But
as they were negotiating those deals, Michael had to actually step in and get those guys to deal with it. People didn't want to work on the movie for the reason that, like, actors didn't want to work on the movie. We had trouble casting some stuff because they don't want to work with a guy that wasn't really an actor, and animation.
I don't think people realize how amazing that soundtrack is. I think that's the best soundtrack of the 90s, in my opinion.
Well, it was a top seller. I think it was number 2 that year.
I think it was also one of the highest of the decade, the highest albums of the decade.
I did a video with Seal for the movie.
Mm-hmm.
He got upset with me because when he saw the video had Bugs Bunny in it, he was furious. I said, "What did you think? It's promotion for the movie. Bugs wasn't going to be in the video."
Mm-hmm.
He never forgave. He didn't actually never forgave me. I ran into him once or twice after that, but he was kind of perturbed that we put Bugs Bunny in the video.
Maybe it would have been different if you animated a Looney Tunes seal. Actual seal.
Yeah, we should have animated him.
All right, Joe. Well, thank you so much for your time, man. I really appreciate it.
I have luck with Ivan. It'll be his comments will be totally different than mine.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to hear the contrast, and even just aside from that, thank you for, and I mean this in the best way possible. Thank you for making me weird. Thank you. I think Space Jam was so formative in shaping who I am today, in doing projects like this, and being a pop culture junkie, in being to a beat of a different drum, and I take my hat off to you. It means a lot to me.
Well, thank you. I'm glad I helped screw up your life. Take care. Good luck.
Take care, Joe.